Today I want to talk about 11 things that I didn't expect when I became a mom. There are a few things that I want to say before we get started. First of all, my daughter is in the room with us and she's going to be making a lot of noise. She's 9 months old. They make a lot of noise at this age. I am going to try to edit as well as I can to get that noise out, but just so you're aware, it is what it is. I also want to put kind of like a disclaimer that when it comes to being a mother, I really like to highlight the negative aspects of motherhood when I'm speaking online because not a lot of people do that. A lot of people romanticize motherhood and it can put the wrong idea of being a mom in a lot of people's heads. I love being a mother. I love my daughter, and nothing that I'm about to say negates the fact that I love my daughter. But being a mom is really hard, and it's really important that we acknowledge that. So now that we've gotten all of that out of the way, I also want to say that I am posting a lot right now because I have just started reposting on my channel. So if you have not subscribed, please do that right now. Be sure to like this video and maybe watch a couple more when you're done with this one. So the first thing that I didn't expect when I became a mom was that breastfeeding is actually extremely difficult and it does not work out for everyone. I thought that it would just come to me, it would be an instinct, or that, when I was in the hospital, the lactation consultants, which the hospital that I gave birth at is a baby-friendly hospital, which means they push breastfeeding and nursing more than anything else. And they're supposed to have a great lactation consultant. You're supposed to have it all figured out. And they did not. They did not help me as much as they said that they would. And I felt like I had a bad foundation for breastfeeding from the very beginning. Nobody told me that you needed to eat. This was a really, really big thing for me because I was alone in the house with my daughter from her third day of life. She was 2 weeks early. My husband works in construction, so summertime is a really big, busy time for him. He couldn't really just stop what he was doing for more than a few days. It is what it is. We've all gotten past that. I didn't have a lot of help in the early days, and because of that, I was just sitting on the couch with her. She was a Velcro baby. I could not put her down, and so I didn't eat. That diminished my supply severely. I didn't know all of the things that you need to be doing to increase your supply. And I didn't really, I saw 3 lactation consultants and none of them helped me in the way that I needed to be helped. And I eventually gave up. I did turn to pumping for a while, but again, I was not eating enough. So my supply was super low. I also wasn't getting enough sleep. It was all just terrible. Any mom who did it and did it well and stuck it out, I'm amazed and I'm so impressed. And you are I'm gonna get emotional. I wish I could have been you. I wish I could have done it, but it's so much harder than you think it's gonna be. Okay, the second thing that I didn't expect is that sleep deprivation actually lasts a really long time. I went into this fully ignorant of how much sleep I was going to lose. My water broke at 1 a.m. after having gone to bed at 11. And then we were awake. We went straight to the hospital. She was born 12 hours later. Then I didn't sleep after that, right? And then I didn't sleep the whole night through the hospital because they keep coming in and taking your blood. And I remember getting so mad because I had almost fallen asleep. It was 5 a.m. I was almost asleep. And this lady comes in and she's like, I'm going to take your blood. And I was like, I'm so mad at you right now. I literally said that to her. I'm not the kind of person who's going to say that I'm pissed, but I was so mad. So then no sleep for that whole night. And then we get her home the next day and we are completely dumb about how to get this baby to sleep. We have no idea. We have no idea how to get her to sleep. There was no sleeping. And then we learned eventually that she could not be put down to sleep for the first 3 months of her life. So my husband and I split the night shift, probably the first 4 months, honestly. So one of us would be in the bedroom and one of us would be out on the couch with her. And so I would start on the couch 2, 3 in the morning. I would wake up my husband and he would come out and he would do the morning, but he was working, right? So sometimes I would only get 3 hours of sleep, sometimes even 2. There was a couple just 2 hour nights. That lasted for a really long time. And then she didn't sleep through the night consistently until about 2 weeks ago. And now we're going through a bit of a sleep regression. So she's 9 months old. So the sleep deprivation has literally lasted 9 months. I didn't start feeling back to myself until about 2 weeks ago when she started sleeping through the night consistently. And now she's not again. Now she's like wanting to be held all night again. The third thing that I did not expect is that snapping back like your body is not a thing and you shouldn't try to do it. So first of all, snapping back is not a thing because your body has literally changed over 9 months and like morphed and grew so that you could literally build a person. And there's so much value in that. There's more value in that than ever having a nice body ever again. But if you know me and you've been around for a while, I'm really into fitness. I really like to have a little bit of a snatched bod. I haven't had that since I got pregnant. And it's been almost 2 years now since that happened. But a huge mistake that I made in the beginning was trying to get my body back immediately. So I gave birth and I was like, I want my body back. And so again, bring in that not eating piece. I lost breastfeeding partially because I was like, oh, I'm not eating. Cool. And like I held on to that, right? And I continued to not eat because I wanted to lose the weight as quickly as possible. I also found that for me, breastfeeding made me hold the weight. So that's another reason why I gave up on breastfeeding so quickly, because I didn't want to hold on to the weight. I wanted my body to let it go. A lot of people will tell you that you'll lose weight from breastfeeding, but that's not true for a majority of people. And that's because you have to eat enough to maintain your milk supply, which is a lot of food. Like your body needs a lot of food to maintain a milk supply. Your body has literally changed. Like it's never going to be the same. You will never go back to your pre-pregnancy body. Postpartum lasts forever. You'll never not have your postpartum body. I mean, of course, you can like lose weight and get healthy. That should be important to you if it is important to you, right? But to expect to look the way you did before is just genuinely not going to happen. Number 4 is just that the hormones are so much more than I thought they would be. I remember it was about a week after I had her and I was trying to see the lactation consultant at a different hospital because I gave birth at Jefferson and I needed to see the lactation consultant in Port Angeles because they're just closer and I didn't want to drive all the way to Port Townsend by myself with Olive. I was trying to get the number for like the family services and I accidentally called like the WIC line. And so they thought I was like, and I was crying because at that point, like my hormones were just like so out of control. I couldn't stop crying. And so I'm on the phone with these people and they're like, are you okay? Are you safe? Like, is anything wrong? Do you have enough food? And I'm like, yes, I'm just trying to get a hold of these people. And eventually they were like, okay, that's what you're looking for. But I had to call my hospital like several times. That went on for a very long time, just like being so up and down. I would say that my hormones still aren't quite back to normal. Number 5 is that you don't need most of the stuff that everyone tells you to buy. I fell victim to this pretty hard because I was just really excited, right? So I wanted to buy all the things. I needed to get all the baby things because I was just really excited and I wanted to start the nesting process and get all of the stuff that everybody says that you need to buy. And so there were so many things that I bought before I had her that we just didn't use. And I do want to make a whole video about the things that I bought that we never used or that I didn't think were necessary. The thing about that though is that what's super necessary for one family won't be necessary for another. So there's really no way to know what you're gonna use from the things that you buy and what you're not gonna use. I would recommend just getting like the bare necessities, like somewhere for them to sleep, something for them to eat, change their diapers, clothes, like, and then from there, figure out what you need. Just because if not, you're gonna end up with just like all this stuff that you're just gonna give to somebody else. It's just gonna sit in your house. For me, we're only having one baby, so as soon as I'm like, I'm not using this or I don't need this anymore, I'm giving it to another mom in the community so that she can use it. I don't want it just taking up space in my house, and if somebody else can use it, then they should be using it. Number 6, and I think that this is definitely more for like the first baby, because having the first baby is just the hardest thing you'll ever do. I don't know about the second one. I'm never gonna have one of those, but it's okay if you don't fall in love immediately. A lot of people will tell you that it's love at first sight. Like, you're gonna look at that baby when they come out of you and, you know, you're just gonna fall in love immediately. For me, that didn't happen, and that doesn't happen for a lot of people. I'm gonna say that I didn't fall in love until she was like 6 months old. And I know that that sounds terrifying. I know that that sounds like that's so shitty, but I was in the trenches. I was surviving, and I didn't have room in my being for anything beyond survival. So as soon as I was out of survival mode and her and I began to connect a little bit more, that's when things really, you know, that's when I was like, I really, really love this person. But to me, you know, she's not just like this little like baby doll, right? She's a person. And I needed time to get to know the person that she is. And it turns out she's really cool, and she's really fun, and she's really sweet. The beginning is just so hard. And it's harder for some people than it is for others. And if you have that like beautiful, loving experience in the beginning, like, I'm so happy for you. That's what I want for every mom. That's not the experience that I had, but that's the experience I want for every mom. And, you know, if you're in love the second that they're dropped on your chest and you just feel in love for all of it, that's beautiful. And I love that so much. But if you don't, you're not weird, because that is also entirely normal. Okay, so for number 7, I've got, no one can really prepare you for how hard it is. And this is so incredibly true. I think back to week 6 of my pregnancy, actually, and I was on my deathbed. I do have a video of my first trimester, but I was so sick. I've never been so sick in my entire life. I literally couldn't get out of bed for the first 3 months. But I remember my mom sitting on the edge of my bed at 6 weeks telling me, nobody can prepare you for this. Nobody will ever be able to tell you what it's going to be like for you or how hard it's going to be for you, because it's different for everybody. And for some people, it's not super hard. But for some of us, it will be one of the most challenging things that we go through. And I think a lot of that has to do, for me, with the fact that I really was kind of an only child. I've always really thrived on independence and being alone, me, myself, and I. That is how I've always been really happy. I'm an introvert. I recharge by being alone. I need quiet. I need like all of the things that a baby takes away from you. And so it was a really hard, difficult adjustment for me. I'm still very much adjusting. I had a breakdown yesterday because she's in a mommy phase and no one else can make her happy except for me. And that's really difficult because I need my husband to be the one that can make her happy and comfort her sometimes. But right now that's not working. And so I'm really being challenged and I'm struggling, and it's just a challenge, the whole thing. It's so hard and it's not going to get any easier. But I'm getting better at accepting the fact that it's not going to get any easier. Okay, number 8. There will be so many times where you think you can't do it and then you just do it because you have to do it. There were mornings that I would wake up from 2 hours of sleep and think, I don't know how I'm going to get through this day. There were so many times where I would just be crying and having just like the worst breakdown and think, I don't know how I'm going to get through this. I don't know how I'm going to do it. And I did it. And you just figure out how to do it. You just do it because it's the only option you have. You know, it's really empowering, right? To think like, I can't do this. And then you do it anyway. It's one of the most powerful, most beautiful, most empowering feelings after you've done it. And after you look back and think, wow, I made it through the newborn phase. I made it through the worst sleep deprivation of my life. I made it through being sick on my deathbed for 3 months. I lost 15 pounds in my first trimester. I was a skeleton, but I made it through and I did it. Thought I couldn't and I did it anyways, and it's the coolest, best feeling. Okay, number 9. You're gonna stop caring what other people think so much, just in any aspect. I remember in the very beginning, like I was always so scared to take her anywhere because I didn't want to bother people. I thought that having her out in public, like people were gonna get frustrated and be like bothered. The first time I took her to like our local coffee shop so that I could get my lox bagel because it was the best. I was breastfeeding and it was the best thing ever and I needed it so bad. I was terrified because I thought everyone was going to judge us. And I got back in the car and I was like, I'm never doing this again. But slowly over the last 9 months, I've really come to realize that the only people that matter are her and my husband. And that's it, you know, and nobody else's opinions should matter to me. Everybody else, you know, whatever. I literally could not care less about what other people think of me anymore. And that's a really freeing, empowering feeling. Number 10, giving birth is the hardest thing you'll do. And if you can do that, you can literally do anything. I wrote my book, my novel, my 70,000 word novel in 1 month because I reminded myself that if I gave birth, I could do anything. If you give birth, it's the hardest thing I've ever done. I did it unmedicated, completely unprepared. I planned to prepare to do it unmedicated, and I wasn't prepared. That was a mistake, but I didn't want the epidural, and I was gonna stick to my guns about that. And I died. Not literally, but like spiritually. I died and came back, and yeah, it was really hard. But if you can do that, you can quite literally do anything. Okay, and last but not least, I just kind of want to touch on this one, that there is a lot of negativity towards mothers and a lot of negativity about motherhood online. And I found that out after I became a mom. And it's really scary. And it's not a landscape that I approve of or appreciate. And because of that, I want to try to put out more positive mother content, and not the kind that romanticizes motherhood, because motherhood's not romantic. It's not. So many boogers. I've been wiping our boogers through this whole video. Honey, we gotta suck your snot. And on that note, it's not romantic. It's not cute. It's not pretty, but it is the most beautiful thing I've ever done in here, in my heart. And on that note, I'm gonna go suck boogers out of my kid's nose. Love you, bye.